myself at the time was thinking through what it would take for me to feel more at home.
That's all on the BBC Tonight in Focus. First, the news.
Hello, I'm Moira Alderson with the BBC News. Health officials in Gaza say Israeli strikes on a tent camp for displaced Palestinians to the west of Rafah in southern Gaza have killed at least 21 people. Emergency services say 4 tank shells hit a group of tents in Al-Mwasi on the coast, which Israel has previously designated as a safe area for Palestinians. Earlier, Israeli tanks were reported to have reached the centre of Rafah, a development confirmed by our Gaza correspondent Rushdie Abu Alouf.
I spoke to a witness in the place who lived with his family this area, and he saw like Israeli soldiers taking up position on high buildings, and tanks were operating within this area. It's a very central area, and there's a big mosque. The Grand Mosque is there, and I'm sure most of the journalists who visited Gaza and Rafah, they once went to this mosque because it's the mosque where they do the funerals.
The Israeli military says it's investigating the possibility a devastating blaze at a camp for displaced people in Rafah on strike. Dozens of Palestinians were killed in the attack, which has led to widespread international condemnation. Israel's military spokesman Daniel Hagari said the 2 munitions used in the attack were too small to have ignited such a fire on their own.
Our munition alone could not have ignited a fire of this size. We are looking into all possibilities, including the option that weapons stored in a compound next to our target, which we did not know of, may have ignited as a result of the strike. It should be noted, Hamas has been operating from this area since October 7th.
Prosecutors and defense lawyers in Donald Trump's hush money trial are beginning their closing arguments in a New York court. Neda Taufik is outside the building.
Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's lawyer, has been speaking. He began by saying that Donald Trump is innocent and that prosecutors haven't proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt. What prosecutors have to show is that Donald Trump tried to cover up election fraud by falsifying business records to disguise the hush money payment to Stormy Daniels as legal expenses rather than a reimbursement. And what the defense has been saying is that Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former fixer, who is the prosecution's star witness, is a liar and has lied again and again and cannot be trusted.
A public inquiry has begun in Kenya into allegations of abuse by the British Army at a training base at Nanyuki, north of the capital Nairobi. Hearings will examine the alleged misconduct of British soldiers based at the site, which was set up in the 1960s. The accusations include murder and torture. BBC News. President Putin has warned of serious consequences if Western countries give Ukraine approval to use weapons they've supplied against targets inside Russia. He said small, densely populated European countries in particular should be aware of what they're playing with. Ukraine has been pressing for permission to use Western weapons for cross-border strikes. Pope Francis has apologised for reportedly using a derogatory term. A spokesman said the Pope had not meant to offend anybody or homophobic terms. He added the pontiff had said on many occasions that there was room for everyone in the church. The comments were made at a closed-doors meeting with Italian bishops. Alim Makboul has more.
Whether he used that word or not, whether he knew what that word meant, it is the sentiment also that he was expressing. He was asked a question at this conference about whether gay men should be allowed into seminaries, whether they should be allowed to become priests ultimately, and his answer was no, because there's too much of this already in the church. And I think even that, in just the sentiment, even if he didn't quite know the severity of the word, is bad enough for a lot of people.
The Taiwanese parliament has passed a series of controversial laws that increase its oversight of the government, which critics fear will weaken the self-governed island's defences against Chinese influence. President William Lai's Democratic Progressive Party. The legislation requires the president to answer questions from MPs and expands their ability to conduct investigations. The US tech firm OpenAI has set up a board-led safety and security